Hello, Ignite members. I am Gloria Grace Rand here with another one of our member spotlight interviews. And today, I'd like to welcome our new member, Gregg Elliott. And Gregg, just go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are, what your business is, maybe where you're coming from with that lovely background.
Okay, thanks, Gloria. And thank you for offering to do this. My name's Gregg. That's a long story. My dad didn't want a boy, but that's what I've always gone by. It's my middle name. And so my business is K. Gregg Consulting. And I chose that name just because people tend to remember that my name was unusual. Sometimes they think it's George or something like that. But what I do is communications, strategic planning, and support for natural resource conservation. So most of my clients are nonprofits and government agencies. And I really think that I've been able to make this work, not because I'm had so much expertise in communications, because that was really not my technical formal training, but because I put the communications, which is a fast moving field and you can learn a lot as you go, as you build your business, with a really deep long-term knowledge from my career working in conservation. So you put the two together and it works for my clients.
Cool. So how do you actually work with them? And so you say you work with a lot of like nonprofits and government agencies. So what's involved in that? What do you do?
Well, so like one example, like one of my biggest clients right now is called the Southeastern Grasslands Initiative, and it's pretty new, and it's based out of a university in Tennessee, and it's very ambitious. They want to bring back grasslands of the entire Southeast, which most people think that, a squirrel could jump from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the Mississippi River without ever touching the ground when we first settled this country, and that's not true. So he's hired me to develop a communication strategy for how he's going to reach all of his audiences, what the messaging needs to be, managing the website, managing all the communications going in and out and the automations and things like that. So it's kind of like the strategic planning and then all of the implementation to the extent that they want to hire me to do that stuff.
Oh, wow. Sounds like you could have your hands full doing a lot of stuff there.
It's great. So much fun.
Well, that's good. Well, it's helpful when you like what you do.
Yes,
sure.
exactly.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I've been asking our members about is what their superpower is. What if somebody could, look at you and say, yes, that's what she is so awesome at. What's yours?
Well, I like to think that I'm good at interviewing people. It's one of my favorite things that I do. And often, of course, our favorite things are things that we're good at or vice versa. And that's something that I get to do because I work at home alone. I think I like that time interacting with people on the phone. And, I just can get people to talk and open up. And then I get to pick these great quotes when I'm writing up what they were talking about. And that's actually something that I used in the book that I have recently written that is getting ready to go live on Amazon in like 2 weeks. And it's called Career Reinvented: How to Build an Independent Life by Starting Your Own Business. And because I never really had a plan to go into business for myself and it just happened, I kind of was thinking, I used to joke and say I should write a book because if I can do it, anybody can do it. And then I actually wrote a book. And I actually interviewed 9 other solopreneurs and small business owners as part of the book. And so it's really interesting. It's kind of a look at how work is changing, these big forces that are changing the workplace and why it's a really good time to start your own business. And then it's a lot of tips from those interviews about what to do to start your own business and to make it successful.
Awesome. And do you also include like what not to do too? Because I know in starting my business, I certainly made a lot of mistakes when I got started.
Yeah, I did have some of that. I mean, I don't have like a long list, but I basically try, when something comes up, like, here's what you should do, then sometimes I'll give you examples of like, here's what you shouldn't do. Yeah. And so lots of times, like you said, they're my examples,
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Very good. Now, I know we were talking a little bit before we started the recording that you have a passion that you've been exploring of late. You want to share that? Because I would like to be able to get to know each other a little more personally as well. So
yeah. So I am really into dance, and earlier in my life, I did some jazz dance, and then I had my daughter, and she grew up, and then I got into ballroom. And I'm currently really into ballroom. And then from ballroom, I went to Argentine tango. So I'm just both of those. I just love it. I mean, it's just so much fun. If anybody has ever even thought it might be fun, even if they think they can't do it, I would encourage them to go ahead and do it, because probably that little kernel of desire means that you really could do it. It's just so much fun.
Yeah. So do you have a partner that you work with all the time, or do you trade off? How does that work?
Well, I don't have a partner per se. I mean, at the ballroom studio I go, there are some excellent instructors. And so when we do shows, you dance with, either there is one instructor who's like my partner, but he's not a partner in the way people normally think of it. Like he's the only person that I dance with, or the person that I dance with most of the time. Same thing with tango. We have like a whole group. Tango is a really interesting international phenomenon. It turns out almost anywhere you go in the world, you can find a tango group if it's a big enough city. And so the group that we have here in Memphis is really cohesive and great group of people.
Awesome. Well, that's very cool. Well, I might have to check that out again, because I
think you
dance
should.
and I miss it tremendously. So I might have to, maybe I'll look into doing that. I'm sure
I highly recommend that.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking time out of your day and letting us get to know you a little bit better. And so I look forward to seeing you participate in the group and share your expertise, because it sounds like you have a lot of it, and we're glad to have you. So thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Glad to be with you.